welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, and a very happy Monday for everybody here at Prime Sports World. All y'all have had a very good holiday, Christmas holiday, however you happen to celebrate, Festivus, whatever it is you celebrate over the last week. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us on today's episode of the show. We're going to be breaking down week number 17 so far and get you ready for that Monday night kickoff. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huffman, right there from the Daily Blitz Stop blog, Mr. Christian Simpson. Welcome to the house, my friend. Happy Monday. How are you? How was your weekend?
Happy Monday, man. I'm doing good. And David, you got a haircut, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, actually.
I could tell.
Yeah, I got a haircut on Friday, I think.
Nice.
Saturday,
man. I'm doing good, man. Merry late Christmas to you again.
Yeah,
and happy early New Year. Can you believe next year, I think it's like 6 or 7 years that I've known you? Like time is flying.
Yeah, it is for sure. Just like this NFL season is flying by. Let me tell you, man.
We
only got one league left now, and man, after this weekend, I got some stuff to talk about. Also, big shout out to all the people watching us on YouTube right now. We got 13 viewers over on the YouTube. If you want to give us a shout out, give us comments, ask us questions during the show, feel free to do so. We'll answer those questions in the order they are received during the show. But yeah, I got stuff to talk about week number 17. Some really interesting results and interesting games. And I know me and you both were at football games this weekend. So
we were. And I think one thing we gonna have to do, David, like if within the next year or so, like we're gonna have to attend one of these games together. You know what I'm saying? But let me ask you, before we even get into it, how was Levi Stadium? How was it?
Dude, Levi Stadium was cool. I've only been to 3 NFL stadiums. If I had to rank them, I probably put them in the middle. So it's SoFi Stadium.
I heard that one is really nice.
That SoFi Stadium is like I can't really. It's incredible. And then it's obviously, and then Soldier Field is probably the bottom one. Only because every time I've gone to Soldier Field, it's been bitter cold. But yeah, so Levi Stadium was really nice. The atmosphere was crazy. Like, I guess we'll talk about it when we talk about that game. But like,
yeah, for sure,
we had like the 4 of our Bear fans like in a row, and we were surrounded by Niner fans. Like we went to the tailgate, and there were like a lot of Bear fans like in the tailgate area. And I don't know what happened to them, like going into the stadium. If they just didn't go into the stadium, there were like no Bear fans in that building, and it was getting crazy, man. We were talking so much smack like the whole game. It was a good time.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, most of the fans were pretty nice. It was kind of like the fun, friendly rivalry kind of stuff. It was that was the best game I've ever seen live. So
that's saying something. Hell, at least one of us had a good game to see.
Although I did I went to Rams Lions a couple years ago.
I remember that.
That was I think each team scored over 40 points. That was a great game too. But because I'm a Bears fan, I had like a vested interest in the Bears. Like this, was the coolest live experience in a football game I've ever been a part of. And man, the tailgate outside of Levi Stadium was bananas. Like unbelievable, dude. Like, it was so cool.
No, I believe it, man. But yeah, can you believe, man? It just seemed like last week or yesterday, we were getting ready for Cowboys Eagles. We were doing our first shameless plug of the year. Now, all the shameless plugs are starting to wind down, but man, it's been one hell of a ride. That's all I can say.
Let's get into it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about that Christmas Day slate. Let's first talk about the Commanders. We're not going to spend time on some of these games because really they don't matter in the grand scheme of things, including the one we're about to talk about. Dallas Cowboys go into Landover, Maryland, the home of the Washington Commanders. They win this game 30-23. Dak Prescott, another ho-hum day at the office, 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Javonte Williams got banged up in this game. Hopefully it's nothing serious that's going to impact him next season. His resurgence has been super refreshing for the Dallas Cowboys, and good to see him get over 1,000 yards. Malik Davis, though, goes over the century mark, I think, for the first time in his career. Don't quote me on that because I don't 100% know. And Devontae Turpin and Jake Ferguson both had receiving touchdowns for Dallas. On the other side, Josh Johnson was dusted off for the Washington Commanders, 15-23, 198 yards. And then Jacory Merritt, Bill, over the century mark, 2 touchdowns for him. Debo Samuel, 2 for 68 as they come up just short against Dallas. In a game that means nothing for either of these teams besides draft position.
No, it doesn't. But man, I love when Dak Prescott is healthy because he makes such a difference for this football team. Man, this is a guy you want to play with. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just has a natural leadership about him. I mean, this team, they leave it all on the field for him. Just imagine if they had a defense. And David, I read something, TJ actually sent it to me, that Dallas more than likely will be firing Matt Eberflus.
Breaking news.
Is it really breaking news though?
No.
Like, is it? No, it's really not. And as far as the Commanders, yeah, just
a season lost, injuries piling up. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore out for the season. Jaden Daniels misses a bunch of time throughout the season. I mean, you had Debo Samuel, Terry Scary McLaurin out at various times. Zach Ertz with his injury last week. Just a lost season for the Commanders after a promising.
Yeah, it really is. But these division games, they're always tough. They're always gritty, and teams tend to get up for it no matter where.
And I think there's also there's an element of pride to it too. Like, I don't want to lose to the division rival even if our season's over. Like, we're gonna kind of like the Bears beat the Packers last season. Like, it meant nothing for the Bears, but they're like, we're gonna rally up and play hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on from there, so the Detroit Lions season officially ended on Christmas Day as they've just put out a clunker against the Minnesota Vikings, 23-10, and somehow Minnesota won a game where they passed for, I think it was like 16 yards. I think if you do the math, because you minus the sacks out of there, it's like negative 30 something yards, 32 yards for the Minnesota Vikings passing in this particular game. But the Detroit Lions just couldn't get out of their own way. I think it was 5 turnovers, 3 of them by Jared Goff, or actually 6 turnovers, 1 by Jahmyr Gibbs, 5 turnovers by Jared Goff, 3 fumbles and 2 interceptions. And just Lions just looked terrible. I kind of talked about this a little bit in the group chat, but like if Dan Campbell, I guess, wasn't as popular of a head coach as he is, any other head coach that had a collapse like this, the way the Lions season is going to go down in flames like this, there'd be conversation about firing him. But Dan Campbell is popular. He's part of the resurgence of the Detroit Lions, but this has been an extremely disappointing season for the Lions.
Yeah, and I always say, David, coordinators matter. Like, seriously, not only did you lose your offensive coordinator, you lost your defensive coordinator too. And I mean, the defense kept up for the most part. I think it was just too many inefficiencies with the offense and too many liabilities. And I felt Dan Campbell leaned a little too much on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Your best player this year was Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. When he carried the ball, good things happened. And as far as Minnesota, again, lost year, like what you said about the Commanders. But, if you got the opportunity to knock a team who's out, who's in playoff contention out, that's almost like your championship. That's almost like your Super Bowl. Now Minnesota, they need to add, they need to spend money. I think that's the problem right there. Like they
did a little bit in the offseason last year. It just didn't I don't think you can go into next season with JJ McCarthy being your only proven quarterback on your roster. Like,
no, I don't think you can either.
You have to have somebody else, like whether that's Mac Jones or Danny Dimes, or there has to be somebody on this team that you could be like, okay, like if JJ McCarthy, because he's played better over the last couple of weeks, but not where it's like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be a bona fide starter in the National Football. You have to have someone there, like whether that be Tua Tagovailoa, whether that be,
or I know a guy, maybe Malik Willis.
Yeah, another guy. Yeah, Malik Willis as well. There's got to be somebody on this roster to push JJ McCarthy. You can't go into another season with him being your only viable option at quarterback. Like, I don't want them dusting off Carson Wentz or, God forbid, whoever else, Phil Rivers or something like that. Like, it can't be like that next season.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree with you, but this is a good win for the Vikings and the Lions. They go into this offseason. They have a ton of questions on the drawing board, and I personally think if Sam Laporta were healthy, they'd be in better shape. Like, he is such a key component to what they do offensively.
I tend to agree with you on that there. So I don't know. I think Detroit's going to have to do, because they're going to get, their roster's going to get expensive at some point. If it's not already expensive. Because I mean, the Aiden Hutchinson extension is going to be looming either this season or next season. So we'll see. Moving on from there, the final game on the Christmas slate, and the Denver Broncos once again had to pull the rabbit out of the hat, scoring in the final few minutes to take down the Crystal Hadouken-led Kansas City Chiefs.
You just wanted to say that, didn't you?
100%, dude. It's fantastic, dude. Bo Nix, 26-38, 182, a touchdown and a pick. You also had the lone rushing touchdown for this team, and RJ Harvey, who's quietly had a really solid rookie season when he's been healthy for the Denver Broncos in the passing game and in the running game, had the receiving touchdown. And then Chris Oladokun, not bad for his first NFL start, going up against that defense. 13-22 and a touchdown. He didn't hurt them. But he's not the reason. He's not the reason they lost, but he's also not the reason that they were in contention here. Kareem Hunt 7 of 38. Travis Kelce 5 for 36. As Rashad Smith, the running back wide receiver combo, caught the lone receiving touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs as they fall to Denver. And Denver now clinches the AFC West with a game we will talk about here in a few minutes. But now they are for sure going to be either the 1 or 2 seed in the playoffs when it's all said and done. I think because I'm pretty sure because I know Jacksonville's in the hunt there somewhere.
Yeah, but I think when I saw the AFC playoff picture, I think Denver was still at the top in the win.
Yeah, they have some sort of tiebreaker over.
Yeah, or maybe it's a better in conference record. I don't know. I got to look more into it, but nah, Denver did what they were supposed to do. Kansas City, they just didn't have it this year, David. I mean, we talked about this all last year. Them floating around, and coming back in games, and that just wasn't the case this year. They were 11-0 last year in one-score games. This year, I believe they're 0-5 or 0-6, if I'm not mistaken. But Denver, the last time they won the AFC West was the last time they won a Super Bowl, and Peyton Manning went out on top.
Yeah, I mean, for this season, I mean, Denver is the one that's winning those one-score games now. I mean, their whole winning streak was like one-score games. And if I'm a Denver Broncos fan this morning or afternoon or whatever time it is, wherever you happen to be, I'm a little bit concerned about what way they looked against Kansas City. Kansas City, I know there's some pride there. I know you don't want to like lay over, but I thought Denver was going to dominate that game. The fact that they let Kansas City had the lead for majority of this game, and Denver was forced to come back. I think that's not a great sign for the future going into the playoffs for Denver.
No, I can look. I'll meet you halfway on that. But remember what I just said. Teams tend to get up for these divisional games. And I mean, this was Kansas City's final home game at Arrowhead. And this is this is a predicament that they're not used to. Usually here they are around this time. They're wrapping up the top seed in the playoff picture. They're resting starters. And now, I mean, they're just kind of playing for pride. So they left a little something on the field, but this offense just couldn't get out of its own way.
So if the Chargers were to beat Denver next weekend, and also New England were to lose, the Jacksonville and the Jaguars were to win, they would be the number 1 seed. So the number 1 seed is still kind of in play a little bit in the AFC between the Jacksonville Jaguars, Denver Broncos, and Patriots. But if both teams win out next weekend, Denver will be the 1 seed. I'm not sure what the tiebreaker is because I don't have that in front of me, but that's how it'll work out. And Houston actually is still in play for the AFC South. If they were to win against Indy and the Jaguars were to lose to Tennessee, the Texans would win the South, which would sound crazy, like a couple months ago.
Yeah. We'll talk about Houston, which I think is next.
We'll do it right now. Wait. There's no time like the present, Kristen. The Houston Texans go down to beautiful SoFi Stadium and Inglewood, California, and they get the victory. They were dominant in the first half, and then kind of let the Chargers hang around, but eventually shut the door as Justin Herbert sacked 5 times in this game, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He also led the team in rushing yards. Marion Hampton, 1 touchdown on this. And then Aronde Gatson had the lone receiving touchdown for the Chargers. CJ Stroud was having a virtuoso game in the first half. Not so much in the second half, but 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Woody Marks returned from his injury, 19-71. And Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, I think that's the Kansas State connection or the Iowa State connection between those 2 guys. 1 touchdown and for them each. I think they have like 3 guys from Iowa State on their receiving core. Like I think Xavier Hutchinson is also.
Yeah, I think Xavier. Yeah, I think he's on the roster as well. Look, I had Houston winning this game just solely because of the defense. David, this is the best defense in the National Football League, and I don't think it's close. If I'm being completely honest, I mean, they get home with 4. They can keep the linebackers in the middle, and because of the pass rush, that secondary is able to play off the receivers in zone coverage. You know, make plays on the ball because that pass rush is doing its job up front. You talk about being concerned about Denver. I'm kind of concerned about Houston's offense because after getting out to such a strong start, they really struggled the remainder of this game, and the Chargers just really beat themselves, if that's what it was. So I think it's more of that than Houston really coming away with the victory. And you want to know something crazy, David? I had a score of 21-17.
I saw it in your
Houston winning this game. Look at what the score was.
Yeah, you're on it, man. You're on it as always. You know.
Yeah, but look, the Chargers, they have the same issue that the Bills still somewhat have with Josh Allen. They want Justin to do everything, and that's just not gonna win them games.
Well, I think Chargers also have a much bigger problem, which is the fact that our offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, but they've still been able to still stay afloat. I got to give them that much. But
yeah, I mean, when you go, yeah, you're able to stay afloat when you play the Cowboys or a defense that isn't nothing. But if you go up against a Texans team that can really generate a consistent pressure, you're gonna get cooked.
Yeah, most definitely. But another gritty win for the Texans, and it's just amazing they're at this point compared to where they were. I mean, this team started 0-3 at one point, and a lot of the blame was on the offense because their defense has been consistent and solid throughout. Now,
even on those games where they lost, I mean, they gave up it was like 15 points in one game.
So I remember they gave up 14 to the Rams. That's a game you're supposed to win. When you hold that high octane offense under 20 points, they gave up 20 on the dot to Tampa, and then they give up 17 to Jacksonville. Yeah.
I mean, in theory, those are 3 games you should win. Like if your defense plays that well, but it's just not the way it worked out. But yeah, moving on from there to the nightcap on Saturday night. We had the Baltimore Ravens unleashing the king in Lambeau Field, the land of the cheese, against the Green Bay Packers as they cruise to the easy 41-24 victory. Obviously, this is also the battle of the backups as Tyler Huntley was very efficient in this game, 16-20, 207 yards and a touchdown. But it's all about the king. It's all about Derrick Henry and them doing what they did not do against the New England Patriots. 36 carries for Derrick Henry, the most of his career, 216 yards and 4 touchdowns. I feel bad for anyone playing Derrick Henry and Drake May in fantasy this week in the finals. Zay Flowers caught the lone receiving touchdown for the Baltimore Ravens. On the other side, Malik Willis played a good game, 18-21, 288 yards and 1 touchdown. We had a lot of Packer fans being like, hey, does he look better than Jordan Love? I think that the verdict is still out on that. But Malik Willis also had 2 rushing touchdowns, and Christian Watson, who was the first Packer, I think, in a few years to go over the century mark. He had 1 touchdown in this game as the Packers just collapsed a little bit there as they just could not stop Derrick Henry. And Malik Willis, I know he was a little bit banged up. By the time he was ready to come back out, the game was already in hand. So they just put Clayton Tune back in.
I got to give you credit because you called this on our prediction show. You said you like chaos. Damn it, we got it.
Well, not quite the chaos I wanted because with Detroit losing, the Packers are automatically guaranteed a playoff spot. So,
yeah,
I want if the Lions had held up their end of the bargain, we could be having a playoffs without the Green Bay Packers in there. And who doesn't want that besides Izzy?
Yeah, that's true. But nah. See what happens when you feed Derrick Henry the football?
Yeah.
What do I always say? He has to touch the ball
Well,
between
you also say you
21.
better have game if you have
If
two
you
first
have
names.
look, we got to do that again, David. Let's do it on my count. 1, 2, 3. You better
You
have
better have
game.
game if you
If you
got
got
two
two
first
first
names.
names, it's only right. And I mean, you talk about showing up and showing out when your team is on the brink of elimination. He put this team on his back and he carried them. I always say, for the Ravens to win football games, he has to touch the football 21 to 25 times. He carried the ball 36 times for over 200 yards, 216 yards to be exact. They kept feeding him the ball, and Green Bay had no answer for him. They just, the Ravens dominated the line of scrimmage all game long. Baltimore saved this season. This is their best win of the year, especially with how they lost last Sunday night to New England. You're up 11. Derek fumbles the ball, and he doesn't even touch the ball the remainder of the game. Good things happen when he touches the ball. He's still one of the best running backs in the league.
Yep, 100%. Father Time is undefeated, but Derrick Henry may be pushing him to the brink. Moving on from there, let's swing into Sunday afternoon football. Let's start first in Cincinnati, as this is another meaningless game between two non-playoff teams with no seeding implications whatsoever. But Cincinnati hung up 37 points on the Arizona Cardinals, as the Arizona just didn't look good in this game. Jacoby Brissett, 21 of 37, 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. Michael Carter, 7-21. Michael Wilson has had a really nice season here for the Arizona Cardinals. It'll go down as just one of those seasons, but he's been really solid there as the pseudo number one for Arizona for majority of the season. 89-1, and Trey McBride, who's inevitable, it fears, to get a touchdown this season as opposed to not having any touchdowns last year. 1 touchdown for Arizona. On the other side, Joe Burrow looked like he was having fun playing football again. 24 of 31, 305 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But if you go up against the Arizona Cardinals, a lot of teams are going to look like they're having a good time on the football field. Chase Brown, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Samaje Perine, 1 touchdown. Jamar Chase, 2 touchdowns. As all of the Cincinnati Bengals were eating in this game as they cruise to the easy victory.
Yeah, and you see the difference it makes when Joe Burrow was on the field. Just imagine if he never got hurt. Who knows where the Bengals may be at this point. I mean, they're playing for pride right now in Arizona. It's just another lost season. They have so much that they need to consider. Now, let me ask you, David, will both these teams have new head coaches next year? Yes, I agree. Because I
think the Arizona Cardinals are a lock, but I could see a scenario where Cincinnati, especially how cheap Mike Brown is, which is a big factor here.
Because I just got a notification that Jonathan Gannon said he's not worried about his job
booked.
status. Yeah,
well,
you have to say that.
I mean, if I wouldn't worry about my job status either if I knew I was getting fired. I'd be like, it's all right, it happens.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. And then to the AFC North, where the Pittsburgh Steelers fumbled a major opportunity to lock up a playoff spot. All they had to do was beat the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, and they could not get that done. Aaron Rodgers, 21 of 39, just coming up just short on that final drive. Going up against Denzel Ward, who broke up that pass. 168 yards for him. Jalen Warren, 12 of 64. Pratt Freiermuth, 3 for 63, and definitely missing the impact of a DK Metcalf on the field as he deals with that suspension. On the other side, Shedeur Sanders, I think his second win as a starter in the National Football League. So kudos to him, but 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Dylan Sampson was the leading rusher with Quinshon Judkins being done for the season. And Harold Fanning Jr., who quietly also had a really nice rookie season at the tight end position for Cleveland, caught the lone receiving touchdown. And on Myles Garrett watch, Myles Garrett did not get a sack in this game. He still needs a half sack to break that record.
He'll get it next week. I think he gets it next week. They're playing Cincinnati, David.
Yeah, I know. But if I'm like, you can see the Steelers were doing we're like really trying to like not allow him to get this sack. And I think if you're I think there's going to be, I don't know anymore if he is going to get it. I think these were like, yeah, you're not getting that record against us, buddy. Like,
yeah. The Steelers should be absolutely ashamed of themselves because this was a winnable game, but it's just something about the Steelers going to Cleveland where they struggle.
Yeah, they
Like they
lost
all,
four,
yeah,
at least lost four in a row.
they've lost
Like,
4 in a row
and
in
the
Cleveland.
quarterbacks
Like,
that beat them are not like a who's who of quarterbacks. It's like Joe Flacco, and then it's like the DTR, and then the other. I don't remember who the fourth guy is. But none of those guys are like household names at the quarterback.
no,
Jacoby Brissett.
yeah,
Jacoby Brissett is the first one. Yeah. So
yeah, but nah, I mean, you got to give Cleveland credit. They got up, they got ready for this game, and man, they uglied the game up. The Steelers should have leaned on Jalen Warren a lot more because Cleveland's not that great when it comes to stopping the run. But Cleveland's also one of the best pass defense, the best when it comes to defending the pass in the National Football League. And yeah, the Steelers couldn't get out their way. Yeah. They did miss the impact of one DK Metcalf, but I would have ran this offense through three guys, if I'm being real. That's Jalen Warren. I would have got Calvin Austin going a little bit more, and then Freiermuth, like you just mentioned, and they just didn't do it. Give the Steelers defense credit because, they kept them in the game. It was the inconsistent performance of their offense.
yeah, I mean, you have Kenneth Gainwell has like a career game last weekend, and he only touches the ball 10 times in this game. I mean, the strength of this football team has really been their ability to run the football and do some play action stuff. To only run, I mean, I know they ran for 131 yards, but I don't know. I mean, now you go into an opportunity where now you're going to be on Sunday Night Football against the Ravens. Winner goes home, winner goes in. And I mean, if this is Aaron Rodgers' final season in the National Football League, how embarrassing would it be for him to just kind of end on a whimper like this? I almost imagine it would motivate him to come back for one more ride. But
I think he's going to come back. I don't think he's done. I think he's coming back because, yeah, I know he's older. He doesn't look like the guy that he did when he was in Green Bay, but he can still throw the ball. Like he really can, and he just seemed to still be having fun, like playing the game. So hopefully he doesn't do another darkness retreat once again. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But I think he comes back for one more season.
We will see. Moving on from there into the AFC South versus the NFC South, and quietly, Tyler Shook has quietly entered himself. Not that anybody was running away with Offensive Rookie of the Year so far this season, but Tyler Shook has quietly entered himself into that conversation. Won 5 in a row, I think, down the stretch here, or four out of the last 5, or 5 out of the last 6, something like that. Tyler Shook played well in this game. I know it's against the Tennessee Titans, and some of his other victories haven't been against powerhouses in the National Football League. But Tyler Shook, 22 of 27, 2 touchdowns. Audric Estime came in as a starting running back, 14 for 94 and a touchdown. Chris Olave, Kevin Austin Jr., who I have no idea who that is, had the other receiving touchdown for the Saints. On the other side of the Titans, Cam Ward, coming down the stretch here this season, he's ending the season kind of semi-promising. 2 touchdowns. Complete percentage not really where you want it to be, but Chika Kongwu and Alec A.O. Minor caught the receiving touchdowns as the Titans fall short of the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are building something here towards the end of the season as they wind down here.
Yeah, the Saints, I like the way they're looking right now. And Tyler Shook, he looks comfortable, but most importantly, he's playing with confidence, David. And I think Kellen Moore is a great offensive-minded coach. You saw what he did with the Philadelphia Eagles last year, and I know they would love to have him back this season. Yeah. But he got his opportunity. He's grooming up a quarterback. Not saying the Saints are going to make noise next year, but they could make things somewhat interesting. Get more weapons around Tyler Shook. See what you can get for Alvin Kamara. Build up that defense, and you're right back in the picture. And as for the Titans, I can't wait to see what Cam Ward does in his second year. Like he's grown.
Get him a good head coach. I mean, because the situation there is not great.
No,
was it not. Mike McCoy? Mike McCoy is their current interim, who's a pretty solid head coach, but nothing to write home about.
Yeah, but both these teams, I think, have bright futures ahead of them.
Man, I think Tyler Shook has looked awesome over the last month or two, month and a half, or whatever. He's been excellent. And I mean, if you're one of those quarterback needy teams and you're looking at Spencer Rattler, I mean, I bet it wouldn't take that much to get Spencer Rattler.
No, I probably wouldn't.
Like if you're the Minnesota Vikings and you're like, hey, like maybe we'll have Spencer Rattler in the house to kind of compete with JJ McCarthy. I think that would be a good move for them.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
But we'll see. Swinging in there, we're going to talk about two teams going head-to-head from the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts were obviously eliminated with that Houston Texans victory on Saturday. So this game had no relevance really for the Indianapolis Colts. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, if they win out and get some help, they can be the number one seed in the AFC. Trevor Lawrence he wasn't as good in this game, but he has been very good in the last month. 23 of 37, 263 yards, and a pick. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. And Parker Washington is coming up the stretch, kind of emerging as that go-to wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. 8 for 115 for him. On the other side, Phillip Rivers, 1 touchdown. And, of course, because he's always going to give you one, he had 1 pick in this game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor had a touchdown. And Mo Alley-Cox, blast from the past for the Indianapolis Colts. Haven't said that name in a long time. Seems like all season, the tight end position for the Colts had the lone receiving touchdown as they fall short of the Jaguars, 23-17.
Yeah, and look, David, we talk quite often, and I kept telling you throughout the season, I'm not sold on the Colts. Even when they were 5-1 and they get to 8-1, they had the best record in the AFC at one time. They just never did it for me. And the game plan was simple. You bottle up Jonathan Taylor, you beat them. But again, let's play the hypothetical game as well. What if Daniel Jones never went down? What do you think could have happened?
I don't know. It's hard to really say.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, they were already trending in a bad direction even before he got hurt.
Yeah, no, they definitely were. But as far as Jacksonville, like Liam Cohen deserves a lot of recognition, a lot of credit, and a lot of praise because he has this team playing with confidence. And normally after teams win a big game, like what they won last week in Denver and how they beat Denver, they sometimes have a letdown because they're celebrating the previous win. They're celebrating the previous win coming into the following week. And that's how teams falter in this league. But that wasn't the case yesterday. I mean, they buckled down, they stayed disciplined, they stayed committed to the run. And this may be the best I've seen Trevor Lawrence look as an NFL quarterback.
Oh, I don't think that's. Outside. I mean, he had moments in that second season where they did go to the playoffs and getting that playoff win against the Chargers. But I mean, he looks totally in command of this offense right now. So it's good to see. It's nice to see.
Yeah, it definitely is. As far as the Indianapolis Colts, like if this is it for Phillip Rivers, man, I'm so glad we got to see him play at least once more. I mean, he still has it. Like
I almost like secretly wish that like every player in the NFL would like especially the quarterback, especially like a notorious trash talker like a Phillip Rivers type, like would be like on the bench for 5 years and then just come back and just see if they got it still. like when Tom Brady like 5 years from now or 3 years from now from Tom Brady, he's like, I'm gonna go play a couple more games.
Look, if Tom wanted to play right now, he could.
I think so too, but
if Tom wanted to play right now, I know he could. Like
or like an Eli Manning or a Peyton Manning, like the people that are like, because Tom Brady's in crazy shape forever.
But see, Peyton can't throw anymore. Like,
well, let's find out. Let's find out, Christian. Come on, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, why not?
Let's go. Maybe Peyton Manning should be the starting quarterback for the Colts on Sunday. I'm all in. Sign me up.
Look, you know what? I say we get a petition going to make that happen.
Yeah. We can get Jeff Saturday to play center too, just for nostalgia purposes.
Just for the hell of it, right?
Yeah. 2 seasons after he was the head coach of the team, we're gonna have you come back and play center for us.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Talk about not being sold on a football team. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who continue their downslide, who fall in South Beach to the Miami Dolphins, 20-17. Shout out to Quinn Ewers, got his first NFL victory. Also played pretty well in this game, 14-22, 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those touchdowns were caught by Theo and Ways. I don't know who that is either. And then Greg Dulcich, their backup tight end, to Darren the Waller. On the other side, another up and down, just bad performance from Baker Mayfield. And I don't know if it's that shoulder injury or what, but he has just been a shell of himself going down the stretch here. 33 of 44, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And just Bucky Irving, 9 touches for 19 yards. I do know that they were trailing for someone in this game, but not enough to be abandoning the run like this. And then Jalen McMillan, good to see him get over a century mark. His first 100-yard game this season after he got injured in that neck injury. One a pretty nasty injury. And then Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, that pairing, that duo, had another 2 touchdown game for them as they go on to lose 20-17 and making it very interesting in the NFC South now.
Yeah, they really are. But the downfall of the Buccaneers, this needs to be studied because I've never seen anything like this. But David, I'm going to take it back because you know what this reminds me of almost? Remember the Minnesota Vikings in 2003? I think they started like 8-0 or like 9-1, and then they end up missing the playoffs because they ended up losing a game to the Arizona Cardinals in week 17. That's what this collapse kind of reminds me of. I don't know if it's the injuries. I think Baker is more hurt than he's letting on. And that as far as Miami, Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback. Watching him at Texas all those years, Izzy and I always kind of raved about this guy. And I kept saying to Izzy throughout the year, like, I think Texas was better off with Quinn Ewers than they were Arch Manning. I mean, Quinn had them a game away from the national championship 2 years in a row. But this is a good win for the Miami Dolphins, and I want to see what direction they go in the offseason because I know for a fact Tua's gone.
I think so too, and I know you said that Mike McDaniel is going to. I just can't imagine he's going to be still on that football team.
It's 7:47 Eastern Standard Time, and Mike McDaniel still has a job.
I just can't imagine that they're going to keep him around. But, this is a good win for Miami. Good win for Quinn Ewers. Probably enough to be like, hey, let me get this guy a full season, see if he's the guy next season. And it'll be interesting where Tua Tagovailoa ends up because I don't think he'll be here, whether they trade him or if he's just a flat-out release. But this Tampa Bay situation is messy. I don't really understand, how this collapse happened. I mean, you were cruising, and then the season just is going to fall apart now. And the crazy thing is whoever wins the South is going to host a playoff game next weekend or in 2 weeks. So
yeah, ain't that something?
That's something, yeah, for sure. Well, so one of these 3 teams is going to have to go to on the road, either probably the Rams, Seattle, or the Niners. 2 of those teams are going to have to play their first round playoff game at home on the road, and they're 3 of the best teams in the NFL. It's crazy.
Yeah, all from the same division. I think the NFC West has been the best division in the National Football League this year.
I don't think it's close. So
no, I don't think it's close either.
Moving on from there, we got the smackdown at MetLife Stadium as Drake May put on an absolute clinic in this game as they cruise to the easy victory, 42-10. They scored 35 points in the first half, 19-21, 256 yards, and 5 touchdowns for Drake May. Travion Henderson, good to see him back on the football field after missing last week's action. But Ramondre Stevenson got the lone rushing touchdown for New England. And then the receiving touchdowns, Stephon Diggs, Stevenson, Henry, Efton Chisholm, who I've never heard of, and then Austin Hooper, the former Atlanta Falcons tight end. On the other, or I guess he was a former Titans tight end and then Falcons, and now he's on the Patriots. On the other side, the Jets, just another really tough day at the office. Brady Cook, not a good game for him. He threw 1 interception. Breece Hall, pretty solid game for him. 14 carries for 111 yards and a touchdown, but it just did not matter as this team went down in a blaze of just nothingness. And congratulations, Christian. You got to watch this game live. How long did you stay at this game?
I was there for a good portion of it. I just honestly, David, I kind of wanted to take it all in. You know what I'm saying? Like, most Sundays,
how much were tickets to that game anyways?
I think it was only like 25, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Man, you were like the 100 level.
yeah. But finally getting the chance to see Drake May live. He's such a wizard in the pocket. I mean, I've never seen a young quarterback with the ability to evade pressure the way he does. I mean, and he doesn't force it. If he has a lane to run, he's going to run. But, I mean, it's a flick of the wrist. When he throws the ball, he was spreading the ball around. He saw the Jets were in zone. all New England did, they ran those receivers. It sat right in the sweet spot of the zone. And as far as the Jets are a bad football team. I mean, it's one thing when you see it on TV, but when you see it up close, you see it. And look, I was ready to just call Aaron and say, look, y'all got extra pads. I'll give y'all a couple of snaps. I'll be a third down situational pass rusher, and that's probably all I could give you. And I'll be completely honest with you, David. This was a de facto Patriots home game. There were more Patriot fans there than there were Jet fans. But it was just
it's not that far of a drive. So
it was a great day to catch a game. It was cold, like it was frigid, like cold, but good day to be at the game, see a game. And yeah, New England, I mean, this game was over. You could say at the half, but I think this game was over at the end of the first quarter. I mean, they put up 21 in the first quarter.
14 in the first quarter, and then they shot it up with 2 points, 20 points in the second quarter.
Look, and TJ would say it if he were here. You getting your ass whooped when the quarterback just sits in the fourth quarter. I don't think Drake May played in the fourth quarter.
I don't think so either. And at least it wasn't as bad as when the Kansas City Chiefs were taking kneels at halftime, outside of the 2-minute warning. But the Patriots probably could have knelt down for the entire second half, and it would not have mattered.
But the one thing I will say, man, Mike Vrabel, he has this team playing with confidence, and you see the impact he has. I loved him as a player, love him even more as a coach. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league.
I agree with you on that. From there, back into the NFC as the Carolina Panthers squandered a golden opportunity to basically win the NFC South just by beating Seattle. Unfortunately, Seattle came in the second half of this game and came ready to play. Slow start. The game was 3-3 at halftime. They hang up 24 points in the final 2 quarters to win this game 27-10. Another just kind of mediocre game for Sam Darnold. He's just been kind of the way it's been over the last couple of weeks over for Sam Darnold. 18-27, 147 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Zach Charbonnet had a monster game, 6.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns in this game. JSN, 9 for 72. It's looking more and more likely like he will not win he will not break Calvin Johnson's record. That record will be safe for at least one more season. And then AJ Barner had the lone receiving touchdown. On the other side, just not a good day at the office for the Carolina Panthers. Offense just really never was able to get anything going. I know there was some officiating stuff in this game, but I was not able to watch this game live, so I have no idea if that's valid or not. But 14-24, 54 yards and a pick. Bryce Young also had a lone rushing touchdown for this team, and Jalen Coker, 2 for 16, was the leading receiver for the Carolina Panthers. And I don't know what it is about Bryce Young in particular. He just seems to have games like this. He has games where he looks phenomenal and he looks like a franchise quarterback, and then he looks like he has games where he's throwing it like this: 54 yards passing, in a net of 40 yards for the entire game. It's just not good enough in the National Football League.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about Sam Darnold, him kind of having an average stat line because Seattle's running the football. Yeah. So, this is the best Seattle team I've seen since 2015. That's when they got back to the Super Bowl. That's when Pete Carroll decided he didn't want to run Marshawn Lynch, and the Malcolm Butler, the Malcolm Butler experience happened. But I look, I like everything about this Seattle team. They're fast, they're physical, they're hungry, they're physical on both sides of the ball. Darnold is doing what Darnold does, and I think he's going to be better this time around. Remember last year around this time, he struggled. Now he has that experience under his belt. And as far as Carolina, you had a prime opportunity to pretty much wrap up this division.
It would have been clinched. They would have clinched it if they won this game.
And now it's a win in your in situation next weekend at Raymond James.
Yeah, man, the NFC South has been. I mean, the NFC South has had a lot of seasons like this, really, where it's just going to be a kind of bad football team that's about to make the playoffs out of this division, which seems to happen like every other year in the South.
Yeah, but remember, David, early on in the year, Tampa Bay is also a 5-1 start. Yeah. We thinking they're running away with this division, and some were even considering them to be the best team in the NFC South. And look at where we are now.
Funny how things change in 2 months, right?
You don't say.
To the Death Star in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the New York Giants got up big on the Raiders and never looked back. 34-10. Jackson Dart, 22 of 30, 207 yards. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns. So did Devin Singletary. Wan'Dale Robinson has had a really nice season for the Giants. 11 for 113 yards for him. On the other side, this Raiders offense just needs to be completely revamped in the offseason. Geno Smith probably can't return as the quarterback for this football team. 20 of 28, a touchdown, 2 picks. He's been the most inefficient quarterback in the NFL so far this season. Ashton Genty, 16 of 60. Michael Mayer, 9 of 89. And Tyler Lockett, good to see him getting the stat book there. 1 touchdown for him in this game as the Raiders lose in embarrassing fashion.
Yeah, does anything else really need to be said about this game? I mean, look, this is the best the Giants have probably looked all year. And yeah, the Raiders, I really don't know what to say anymore. Like, and I'm not even saying that's a joke or troll like I normally do. But nah, the Giants, they just look like they were having fun. You know what I'm saying? Like Wan'Dale Robinson, he quietly put up 1,000 yards this year. Yeah, no, the Giants have a good thing brewing up. I mean, they have a 3-headed monster offensively when healthy in Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbull, and Malik Neighbors. Just get the right coach, and we could see something with the Giants. Seriously.
Yeah, I agree. To the final game in the late afternoon window, the Buffalo Bills go welcome in the Philadelphia Eagles into Orchard Park, which I think may be the final home game. I don't remember if they're at home.
Next week is the final home game in Orchard Park for the Bills.
They come up short against the Philadelphia Eagles. They tried to go for a 2-point conversion after Josh Allen ran in the touchdown, unable to convert that 2-point conversion. Probably should have just kicked the field goal and tied the game, but I understand going for the victory. Jalen Hurts, 13 of 27. This is just not a great offensive game. Just throwing it out there. 13 of 27, 110 yards and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 19 for 68. Dallas Goedert, of course, it's Dallas Goedert, had the lone receiving touchdown in the entire game. Josh Allen on the other side, 23 of 35, 262 yards. And then Josh Allen also had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game, but they both came with what it had to have been under 4 minutes left in the game. And Brandon Cooks, who they dusted off, I didn't even realize he was on the roster, 4 for 101 as they fall to the Philadelphia Eagles in a very highly contested defensive game where Philadelphia was up 13-0 and felt like the entire game.
Yeah, the Eagles pissed me off. I'm just going to be completely real here because they should have blown the Buffalo Bills out. They kept them around and they let them hang around, and you can't pin this game on Buffalo's defense. It was their offense.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, look, these defensive struggles, they're my type of game, David. I loved every second that I got to watch of this one. I like the play. I like the idea for Buffalo to go for the 2. I just did not like that play call. I did not
I like it too. I mean, you're struggling offense the entire game. You get 2 touchdowns down the stretch there. But this is something that bothers me to no end as it is. But like, I don't understand when it's 13-0, when you score that first touchdown, kick that field goal. I don't understand why you would go for 2 there. It doesn't make any, unless you just missed the field goal. I didn't get to watch this game, so I don't.
Yeah, nah. I mean, the conditions were wet and slippery, and I know the Bills did miss an extra point, so that kind of plays a factor.
Oh yeah. So Badgley's extra point was blocked, which is why they had. Which is why in order for they went for 2 on the next one because never mind. Obviously they had So outside of Levi Stadium, so when you're out there tailgating and stuff, they had like screens outside of the stadium that you can watch stuff on. And like every once in a while, it would like clip into red zone and you'd be able to watch a little bit. And all of a sudden it would just like turn off. They're like, oh, we don't want people. I don't know, but it was very interesting. And I didn't get to watch anything from the late afternoon window of the game.
That's how it was at MetLife too, because like on the scoreboards, because there's 4 of them, there's 1 in each corner, and on the scoreboards, like they would show red zone. Like, yeah.
But they didn't show it all the time. Like it would like randomly just get removed from the screen, and they just have like a slate graphic up for some reason.
Right.
So, but yeah, for Buffalo, I mean, I know that because of New England's victory earlier in the day, they were kind of eliminated from winning that division. So they weren't really playing for anything, but you still should, it's just not a good day at the office for anybody in that offense.
No, it wasn't. And one thing I took away from this game, the Bills don't like being punched in the mouth. Like that's one thing I got to give the Eagles.
I mean, we've known that a long time.
We have, but
going all the way back to that Cincinnati Bengals playoff game in the snow.
Yeah, they were punched in the mouth then. Punched in the mouth then. But the biggest takeaway from this game, and I've said it about the Eagles all year long, when they play these gritty games and their defense kind of controls things, they're a team that's graduated to challenging your manhood, and that's exactly what they did to the Buffalo Bills yesterday.
And then to the final game of the weekend and possibly the game of the year so far, probably at least in the conversation. The Chicago Bears go into Levi Stadium, and they leave with an L as San Francisco wins this game 42-38. Caleb Williams had a really good game here. Just could not complete the final couple passes down the stretch there as the Niners really turned up the pressure. And Robert Saleh in that final couple of snaps. Because if Caleb Williams is able to get a little bit more on not the final play of the game, there was a play before the hook and ladder play that they ran. So they ran a play 2 plays before that, where Caleb kind of scrambled out of the pocket. If Caleb Williams is able to get a little more on that football, that's a touchdown. The game is over. I don't remember who the receiver was. He would have walked into the end zone. But Caleb Williams, 25-42, 330 yards and 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift had 2 rushing touchdowns, and Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, 1 touchdown for each of them. And actually, Colston Loveland's family held a huge tailgate thing in the parking lot of Levi Stadium. And they have a giant Bears Sprinter van. It is pretty cool. But yeah, shout out to Colston Loveland and his family. They were all out there. They were all really nice and homey people. Seemed very humble. I was just thrilled to be there. And then on the other side, Brock Purdy, 24 of 33, 303 yards, an absolute clinic for Brock Purdy. I know it didn't start out. It started out great for the Bears with that pick 6 immediately, but Brock Purdy showed out in this game. And in the last 2 games, really, he's been on an absolute heater. 3 touchdowns, and obviously that pick I mentioned earlier. Christian McCaffrey had the same number of touches as his jersey number, 140 yards and a touchdown. Brock Purdy had 2 tutties rushing as well, including a crazy scramble drill play that went into the end zone. And then Jake Tones and Juwan Jennings and Kyle Juszczyk caught the receiving touchdowns for the San Francisco 49ers, as this will go down as one of the best games of the season and probably one of the best games at Levi Stadium, maybe of all time.
I was talking to TJ right as this game was starting, right? And I told him the key for the 49ers, they have to play with control, because if they don't, they'll turn the ball over. And the Bears, their defense thrives on what? The takeaway. TJ Edwards, first play. But after that, something just clicked in and locked in with Brock Purdy. But it was the fact, outside of Christian McCaffrey, the 49ers offense was able to move this ball down the field without George Kittle. George Kittle is still a very important piece of the offensive scheme that is the San Francisco 49ers offense. And the Bears, look, I've said it all year long, David, their defense is turnover or bust. When they're not forcing those takeaways, you saw it up close. When they're not forcing takeaways, they're giving up a ton of big plays down the field, and they don't have a pass rusher. Brock Purdy had too clean of a jersey for my liking. Look, I'm a former defensive end. It got me mad. I almost wanted to teleport out there, have you meet me in a parking lot, and then try and sneak me in the locker room, and I would have got on the field and gave the Bears a couple of snaps.
Oh, they could have for sure used it, because this was a absolute offensive clinic. They had these, we were like whoever could just get a stop is going to win this game. And then the Bears got a couple stops down the stretch. They forced a couple punts. The first Niner punt in a month, which was I couldn't believe that stat when somebody told me that. I checked it out. Yeah, that's true. But like this was a super entertaining game. I'm so glad I got to be there and I got to go to it. I am not happy with the result of the game, but still got it, baby. Bear down, baby. Bear down.
And
We're coming for you. We will be back.
Funny? You know what's funny, David? I have one of my best friends, Alex. He actually lives out there in California, and he was actually at this game too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I had known, I would have linked you guys up. You know, y'all could have got to grab the beer together or something. Good guy. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I think I had like 12 beers yesterday. But
and you're still kicking.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, I had to take the train to the stadium, and then I took Bart home. So it was an adventure. But yeah, I'm so glad I got to go. The Bears look great.
I'm happy for you.
Niners look great as well. It was just like a great day. Like we got to the stadium at like 1:00. We just tailgated all day until the game, and then like we had these people at the tailgate like across from ours. Like we had a little tiny, it was just kind of like a little setup. They had like a full on DJ, and like it was all these people dancing and hanging out, dude. It was cool, dude. It was so cool.
Nah, man, I'm glad.
Levi Stadium shows out. Like they don't.
I believe it. Yeah, it looks like it's a party every time. Like I see it on TV, and I'm like, man, they really live it up out there.
Yeah, it's nice. But yeah, that's been our Week 17 recap. Hopefully your team got a W this past weekend. If not, hopefully they'll get a W this upcoming weekend. On tomorrow's episode of the show, we're going to give you that Monday Night Football recap, and then we're going to talk about week number 18. As we got some pivotal matchups that will decide playoff seeding and playoff implications in the National Football League as we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, Christian. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast if you like what we're doing here at Prime Sports World. And we will have College Football Showdown here in just a few hours, so you don't want to miss any of that content. So
yeah, I'm doing a double tonight. You know,
and you're doing like a double duty.
Yeah, listen, broke down the NFL with you. Now I'm about to go break down the college game with Israel Rivera, the CEO of Prime Sports World. Nah, man. There's not a look. I'll do a little tease. There's not a bad second round matchup in the college football playoffs. Like every matchup has its own interesting storyline, and I can't wait to break it all down with them.
But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. And don't forget, here at Prime Sports World, Christian, what do we do here, baby? We
bring the heat, baby.
Let's go. And we also bear down Chicago Bears. You all have a good weekend. We'll be back here tomorrow. You'll see Christian here in a couple of hours. Y'all take it easy. Be safe. Peace out, brother.
Love you, David. Thank you, man.
You too, man.
All right, man.